She is the mother of one boy and is a nutrition professor at Folsom Lake College. In her spare time, she enjoys outdoors activities with her family. Please welcome Debora. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Brian, for the presentation. Let me share my screen here. Okay, not this one.
Just to remind everybody, mute your microphone. And we usually take ourselves off video so we can have a larger screen for everyone to see the slides. Anyway, go ahead. Thank you, Debora.
Thank you, Brian. So just as our brother Brian said, today we'll be talking about chapter 7, Blessed are the poor in spirit, and chapter 7 of the Gospel according to Spiritism, the book that we use almost weekly, and it's the third book codified by Allan Kardec, and is a blessing to have this book as our guide, and always reminding us what are our deeds. So this is the second time that I'm doing this talk, and I truly believe there is no coincidence in life, and I feel like if it's the second time that I need to talk about the same subject, it's because I still have so much to learn about this. And as we know, when we are talking, the first ears to hear, it's ours. So I feel blessed to have the opportunity to talk again about this, because I truly feel that I still have so much to learn about the subject, and it's just our walk. I feel like it's one of our important missions, and we really need the reminder all the time about being humble. So let's dive in. In this chapter, we have the sections, what should be understood by poor in spirit, whoever exalts himself shall be humbled, mysteries hidden from the learned and wise, and in the Spirit's teachings, we have pride and humility, and the mission of the intelligent person on the earth. So we start with what should be understood by poor in spirit. By poor in spirit, Jesus does not mean persons devoid of intelligence, but the humble. He said, the kingdom of heaven is for them, not for the proud. I read another sentence that said, if you change the poor by humble, make a lot more sense, because some people might be like, poor in spirit, what does it mean? But if you just change the poor by humble, and blessed are the humble in spirit, it for sure make more sense, and it's a lot easier to understand that what Jesus told us was to be humble, not to be proud. So this is what we're going to be talking about this morning, about humility and about proud or pride. People with knowledge and intellect, lots of the time, and I would add also people with money, they have a high opinion of themselves. They have this superiority. And I found this image being so perfect for the subject. I Google it, snob, and that's what showed up. And I was like, this is perfect, because we describe the feeling of superiority. I'm better than you. And sometimes they would judge us the divine things as not worth of their time, of their attention, because they are so big, they are so high on knowledge, on money, or something that they don't need the divine things. And if they refuse to believe in the invisible world, it's not because it's beyond their ability. They have the mental, the spiritual, the capacity to learn these things, but because their pride revolts against the idea of something above which they cannot place themselves. And this made me think about science, how we are evolving a lot in science. But if we think it's nothing compared to our spiritual world and compared to the creator. For example, we might have a scientist that found out something in the human body about a cell or something that it's super impressive in what we know nowadays. But if we understand that there is a creator, that behind all of this, there is a creator who made all this, who planned all this. We are just finding out a little cell. What is that compared to the creator? That's nothing. So we really should have the humility to understand, even though we might have an amazing creation, or amazing findings, that's nothing when you compare to the creator. So having humility, for sure, it's one of the most amazing qualities that we can develop in this lifetime. And it's also a hard one, because the more we know, the more we understand, the more we read, the more we study, we feel like, oh yeah, I just know more. But having the humility to understand that you might know more, but it's still so little compared to everything that we have to learn, everything that you have to put in practice. It's just keep our feet on the ground, keep us really grounded, which is extremely important. It's more valuable for people's happiness to be poor in spirit, which again, simplicity of heart, humility of spirit, and rich in moral qualities. And of course, you're not here saying that you can be super poor, starve, and you be happy just because you have moral qualities. No, there is balance in everything, right? So we need to have the basics of our life, but it's focusing in the moral qualities. It's focusing in the inner transformation, in improving ourselves, and not just in the material things that we can achieve. Material things are good and important, but it's not all. And they might seem to be our happiness, and we might think that we're going to achieve happiness through the material, but it's a happiness that we're going to last. I feel more like a joy. It's a joy that we're going to last hours, sometimes days. But then it's like, oh yeah, okay, I had a new car and was super joyful in the beginning. And then it's just a car. It's just a way to transport yourself. But with inner transformation, it's really understanding the happiness. It's seeing the miracles of life in everything you do and see. Just on a walk that you go on nature, you see the amazing creation of God. Everything is a miracle. Everything is just amazing. And you can understand this with the inner transformation, not with things, the material things that we can achieve if you can get with your money. Whoever exalts himself shall be humbled, is the next section. And Jesus said, if you do not become like children, he got a child and showed him, if you do not become like this child, you not enter the kingdom of heaven. And by children, what Jesus means is, children don't have this superiority, especially young children. They don't have, oh, I'm better than you, I'm faster than you. They have a little competition, but they don't really feel like I'm better than you, especially when they are young. 8 years old, probably they do feel they already learned enough with their parents to have the competition and to have the superiority or not. But young children, they don't have this. They just play with anyone. They don't have they don't distinguish by how you look or, they just play with each other. They are so simple. Kids are just so simple. I'm sure you have the experience of maybe giving a gift to a child, or your child receiving a gift, and then they are playing with the wrapping paper, right? Because they don't even care. You might be a super expensive toy with lights and with sound and all that, and they're just there playing with the wrapping paper. It's like, oh, okay, how about just wrapping paper next time, right? And they're just so simple. They really can play with anything. Sand, rocks, sticks, you name it. It's just simple things that they're just happy doing that. Like yesterday we took Tom to the lake and he was just so happy. He didn't have any toys. He just had sand, rocks, sticks, and the water. And he was just so happy playing for hours because it was just there. Everything is just there for them. They don't need all these things. And this is a great reminder for myself and my mother-in-law. We both get a lot of things for Tom. And it's just, they don't need so much. They need our presence. They need us. They need our attention. but the stuff they don't need. They don't need as much as we might think they do. Most of the kids, they also admit mistakes. They are okay saying, yeah, I was wrong. And to me, the most amazing thing is they try again, right? They fall down on their bike, they might cry, but they didn't jump back and keep riding. It's just how it is, you know? When I fell down from a longboard, I was like 27 years old. Was the last time I rode a longboard, was the very last time. It's just so hard to try again. We get traumatized and you get this and that. But kids, no, they just keep trying until they figure out. And we for sure should become like children and understand the simplicity of life, understand that we can try again. Okay, maybe not longboard for me, but something else. I promise I'm gonna try again. And just understand that we don't need so much to be happy. And this is the cute picture of Tom from the last time I did the presentation. It's not recent picture, but he's just so damn cute that I just kept the picture here. It's this God's perfection. The Son of the Man has not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life for the redemption of many. And we have so many examples. Jesus, of course, is our main one, but we also have Gandhi, we have Mother Teresa, we have Mandela. We have so many people who teach us about being simple, about being humble, about serving others, really, truly serving others. And it's so hard for us to just follow that and really try to serve others. The first opportunity that we have is like, oh, I'm going to be served here. Oh, yes, just give to me. And to me, it was a great reminder. We should be serving more, not be served. So I really like that sentence. And then we have the Jesus at the Pharisee's house. And he was observing people fighting for the best spot on the table. And he told then anytime you get invited for a feast, an event, or a dinner, whatever it is, choose the worst spot on the table, because then maybe the host is going to invite you for a better spot and you're going to be happy with that, be invited to upgrade yourself. But if you choose the best spot and the host asks you to move on to a lower spot, you're going to be, ashamed by that. It's just like you sitting in the first class and you don't have a first class ticket. And then the flight attendant is like, hey, sir, please, you have to move to your spot, which is way over there on the back. And you'd be like, oh my gosh, what a shame. So choose your own spot. And yeah, whoever exalts himself shall be humbled, and whoever humbles himself shall be exalted. Then we have the mysteries hidden from the learned and wise. I render you glory, my Father, for having hidden these things from the learned and wise, and for having revealed them to the simple and small. And we might think, why God hide something and just showed to the learned and just showed to the simple? And it's not that God was hiding, but it's about who is willing to learn, who is willing to open their heart and understand God, understand God's teachings. Sometimes the learned and wise, they are not open to that. So if you're not open to that, the sun will not shine on you. And to me, was a great comparison to think about God as the sun. Sun is shining everywhere. So here in California, we have this amazing day today, and the sun is not choosing shine on me and not on my neighbor. The sun is just there and it's shining everywhere. It's my job to open my window and let the sun shine inside my house. The sun is not going to open the window for me, right? I have to open the window and let the sun come in my house. God's the same. God is there, always there. But if I don't open my heart, God can't come in. It's my job just like I open the windows for the sun, it's my job to open my heart for God and let God come in. So God is always there for everyone. But are we willing to open our hearts and really let God guide us? That's the question. God will not open their eyes forcefully, since it pleased them to keep them shut. Their time will come, but first they must feel the anguish of darkness and acknowledge God. Overcome by the torments of disbelief, they throw themselves into the divine arms and, like the prodigal son, ask divine grace. And this first thing came into mind was the Astral City movie, and that's where I got the picture. When that doctor, famous doctor, good person, ended up going to this umbral, the dark place, and in his mind was a mistake. Of course, was a mistake because he was a good person, a doctor. How he could be there? And when he had that 1 second of humility, 1 second that he started to pray with his heart, the good spirits came and rescued him and took him to the Astral City. So it's, again, our job to open our hearts and let God and the spirits work on us. It's not God's job. God will not open our eyes, will not open our hearts. We must do our part. But God's always there with open arms, like a father waiting for the son to come, the daughter to come and ask for help. The spirits don't try to convince, or if they try, they don't have a huge effort on trying to convince anyone about their presence, about that they are real, because they don't have to. They are just there, so they don't have to convince anyone. And we have the question, why does God not manifest signs to these believers to prove his existence? And to me, God is so busy, because imagine if we are busy. Imagine God. Does he have time to prove himself? He's way above and beyond all this. He doesn't have to prove anything. He's there, again, like the sun shining. He doesn't have to prove himself. It's our job to believe, because we do have miracles everywhere we see. Everywhere we look at a tree, that the leaves fall down during fall, and the leaves on the ground will become nutrients and then they spring, everything will go to sprung. It's like, what? Who thought about all this? You know, in the other week that Robbie was talking about the bees and the communication that they have, and how we need to have flowers in our garden, so we have the bees. It's all connected. And when you just stop and think that we are all connected, we don't understand these connections. We are just finding out some of them. But just having the idea that we are all connected, it's our miracle. So we can see everything as a miracle, or see everything, oh yeah, it's just a coincidence. But God is everywhere, and he is proving himself in every tree, in every animal, in every flower that we see. But again, we need to open our hearts and our eyes to see the miracles. And God does not abandon any lost children. Again, he's there. She is there always for us. But it's our job to open up and let him shine on our lives. And then in the Spirit's teachings, we have pride and humility. Humility is the most, or one of the most neglected virtues. And we have the question, how can you be charitable? And in the beginning, I was like, oh, no, you can. And then I was reading a little more and trying to understand why you cannot be charitable if you don't have humility. It's because we can be charitable, helping others, thinking, oh, that homeless person, yeah, that person is below, that person is lower than me. I need to help because that person is lower. And that's not really charity. That is us having the superiority in ourselves. If we see that homeless person as a brother or a sister, and we have this, it's a must, you must help, your brother, it's your sister, you are in a better situation than that person, you must help your brother or your sister. That's the humility part, that you can truly be charitable. You're not thinking you're better, you just have a better condition right now in this lifetime. We don't know tomorrow, we don't know in the next life, you don't know in the previous life. Maybe that person was rich, you just don't know. But right now that person needs help. And you should help as helping a brother, helping a sister, truly being charitable. And humility is a sentiment that put all at the same level. So it's not helping because you are better or because you have more knowledge. It's because you have a better condition right now. But everyone is brother, everyone is sister, everyone is in the same level. Just like Jesus did the whole time, proving himself that he was not better, even though he was so more evolved than any of us, but he was not proving himself was better. He was just serving everyone. And pride is the opposite of humility. So the adversary of humility is our pride, and it's also the fount of all our ills. And we'll keep talking about this pride in the next slides. All humans are equal on the divine scales, and only their virtues distinguish them from God, from one another in God's eyes. And just like the children, right? They just play with everyone. God sees us just like an X-ray. It's just, well, spirits, just children, just everyone has the same potential. How are we exploring our own potentials? We all were born with those, but how we are using them, it's making a difference in our lives. Charity and humility are their titles of nobility. Be generous and charitable without ostentation. Do the good with humility. Let each of you tear down little by little the altars you have erected to pride. And that's what when I was doing, I was like, oh, again, the same topic. Okay. Because we all have erected this pedestal, this place of pride, and we all need to little by little destroy it. It's our job, our daily work to destroy our pride. We all have in different levels, but we all have. So it's a great reminder to keep destroying our pride and building our humility. Why does anyone want to rise above his or her brother and sister? Society today is suffering the consequence of this fact. And this we can really see everywhere you go, right? This competition that we have. And of course, we need to have some type of competition if you're playing sports, if you are, let's say, fighting for a job. You need to have a competition. You have somebody else who is also applying for the job, and you need to prove yourself to be better for that position. So yes, okay, you're gonna show off in a job interview, but do you need to keep your life showing off? Do you need to live your life? And also how you are doing that? How is the competition for you? Are you stepping on others to get where you want to be? Or are you just walking and working hard and proving yourself that you can be better? So there are different levels of competing. And one that I really try to remind myself, I'm a very competitive person. I tell my husband that he is, but I am too. And I try to remind myself, I need to compete with myself, right? And I need to become better than I was yesterday. That's the competition. Become 1% better every day, just 1% better every day, and compete with myself. And that way I can truly improve. But competing with others, it's just not fair unless you are playing a sport or, you know, in very specific situations. But we for sure live in a world that's competition. We have this showing off everywhere, you know, social media. It's like who has the cutest, happiest family, who has the, It's just everything is showing off, right? And the competition, even in traffic, you see the competitions like, oh, I'm gonna cut off, I'm gonna be fast, I'm gonna be this. It's like, why? You're gonna get at the same time there. So why the competition? And for sure, we see this huge competition in society. And we just isolate. Anytime we are in this mode of competing, we are not uniting. We are just separating from each other. When pride reaches extremes, it's an indication that a downfall is close at hand, for God always punishes the arrogant. And we see downfalls all the time. We see that it's an up and down world that we live, and I don't even see as a punishment. I see as a law of cause and effect. Just like we have the gravity, we have the cause and effect. It's just how it is. If you sow corn, you're going to harvest corn. It's just how it is. If you just have the pride and you don't work on yourself, that's what you're going to collect. And you're going to isolate yourself for sure. And why does God allow the arrogant to ascend? And that is pretty easy, right? We have free will. So God allows us to do whatever we want. It's like, yes, you have here the little seed inside you. Go and do your thing. You decide. We have the free will. But again, it's the cause and effect. You can do whatever you want, but there is an effect for what you're doing. So there is always a consequence for things. And you need to understand, it's not live on fear of the consequence, but understanding that if you are doing something bad is going to happen again. It's just quantum physics. It's just how it is. It's the energy that you're putting in the world. It's coming back to you. The power of the earth, if they abuse their authority, will be reduced to obeying their servants. So again, its cause and effect is the consequence of life. It's not that you have to live fearing that maybe in a next life you're going to be, I don't know, like Hindus believe that you're going to become an animal. So it's not the fear of becoming something worse, but just understanding that there are consequences for everything, every act that you have. You're going to harvest something. So be aware of what you are putting in the soil, because that's your harvest. That's what you're going to get in the future. And the last but not least is the Spirit's teachings about the mission of the intelligent person on the earth. God has enabled you to be born into an environment where you are able to develop your intelligence. God allowed you to develop this. It's not you being that amazing person. No, remember, God is the creator. If you know something, you know very little, still very, very little. Even with technology, we think we are so ahead, but we analyze or we read about the spiritual world and it's like, oh, wow, we are so behind. Just put into perspective how behind we still are. And we are doing progress, but let's progress with humility. Let's progress in this understanding that it's nothing compared to the creator, compared to what is the existence, with the miracles that we have everywhere. And it's because he wills for you to employ it for the good of all. Let's use our intelligence to do good, to help our brothers and sisters. Intelligence is rich in merit for the future, but on the condition that it's employed rightly. How are you using your intelligence? How are you using, if you have an authority in your job or in your house, how are you using this? Let's use to do something good for others. Let's do this as good examples for others. Let's show others how we can unite, how we can become better, being our best version, being our best example. That is how we can change things. Changing, again, first ourselves. We cannot change others. We can change ourselves and be examples. And hopefully others will learn and we're going to improve too. This is the cycle. There is no other way around. We are here to improve ourselves. So let's do the first step for that to happen. And that's all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for the time. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. Let's open the floor and anybody who wishes to talk about the presentation, time is yours.
Hi, Deborah.
Hi, Regina.
You know, I never get enough of looking at myself and how I'm giving back. You know, and to be honest, it's so many different scenarios, you know. Some I'm comfortable with, some I'm not, but I still have to do my best.
Mm-hmm.
And there lies the challenge, you know, to always be my best, always do my best. I failed. I have to admit, I'm not perfect. I do fall, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a good reminder. Thank you. I appreciated your talk today. I liked it a lot.
Thank you. And it's part of life. I feel like anytime we try something and we decide to change and go for some direction, we have a test, life tests. It's like, oh, did you change? Did you really change? Let's see. Let's put this to proof right now.
Exactly.
Like, oh, maybe I still need to improve a little bit in here. And it's just how it is. It's just part of the process.
Over and over again. You know, did
Mm-hmm.
you pass this time? Did you pass this time?
Uh-huh,
Like,
exactly.
oh my God, please let me pass.
To the next one.
The next one. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Deborah.
Hi.
It's so good to hear your beautiful presentation. And always your knowledge is very important. And the knowledge today, I think it's never too much to talk about the spirit. Now, to be humble, to be simple. And we still do not know how to be a spirit, you know? Like he uses Jesus as an example, great example and model. And my goodness, as you start your presentation, I was driving and a car come in front of me and out the road. And I got in panic and I just say, please be kind. Can you be kind? If someone is lost, or let the other, give your space for the other to go, no? Many people does because they are very pride. They just want to do without respect. But if someone is lost, or, you know, we have to have attention to be kind. And many times we are driving, we do the same. It's not just point finger, no? And many others too. We really need topics more about this, and to understand being in a spiritual life, well, whatever we are. And remind ourselves that we still, as a humble student, there is still a lot to learn as a spiritual being, and practice it more. Like you said, let we compete with ourselves. Let we point finger to ourselves. Let we criticize ourselves. Let we judge ourselves. And not be too hard, but we need to pick more on ourselves. Dr. Paul always said, we are too lazy, and we are too lazy. My gosh. Thanks so much for your presentation. I love it. Every word. Appreciate that.
Tanya. And
Good to see you too.
Good to see you too. I totally agree. We have this, it's so easy to judge others, right? To point the fingers. It's just easy. And I agree with Dr. Paul. We are lazy to look at ourselves because it's way harder to analyze and like, oh, I do that too. Oh, yeah, I still need to improve in that. It's just way harder. So we just choose to look at others. But again, it's a choice that we can use to analyze ourselves and improve ourselves.
And one thing he repeats a lot to us, it is break the old patterns. And I think we do not understand yet.
No.
break the old pattern because we still repeat them.
We want to live different things doing the same. It's just not possible. It's just, yeah, I agree. We don't get enough.
Right. We have to hear it over and over and over.
Mhm.
Break old patterns. Well, let me hear it again.
Deborah, thank you. It's Mark. Okay, great presentation. Causes lots of different thoughts in a variety of different directions. But even this conversation, I'll add one more. How easy it is to take our own assessment and judge ourselves and say, well, yeah, I'm better this year than I was last year, and then sit back and be prideful for that.
That's right. Yeah,
You know?
I did enough. It's enough.
Yeah. And of course, what Tanya was saying about patterns, it's habits, you know, and the older we get, the longer time we've been doing the wrong habits. So always a challenge.
The harder it is to change and break the habit, for sure.
Consciousness is everything. Thank
Mhm.
you again. Great presentation.
Thank you, Mark.
Hey, Deb.
Deborah. Go ahead, Robbie. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Dave.
Okay.
Oh,
It's cute.
I appreciated I appreciated the analogy about the scientist who finds some breakthrough in some cells of the body, yet the lack of stepping back and saying the bigger picture of the body, what a discovery or what a creation that is, but to only recognize some small detail, which probably is going to help the fellow make a little more money. That was a good analogy for me. Looking at a cell, look at the whole thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, Deborah, thank you. I can always be reminded of these topics, and especially learning accountability on our end. We're accountable for everything we do. We can't pass the buck and try to blame others. And as you referenced to, we shouldn't even be looking at others. That's like comparison doesn't work. This is a journey of knowing thyself that we have to go on. And I love and thought in life the sense of duty to be better. And the more I study, I find the joy in it, because it is truly an honor to be given this opportunity to know who we are, to struggle with everything that's given, all the material we get to study, the wonderful examples we have at all times available to us. The only thing that we have to do is make it a choice to change ourselves, but we have everything. And we're blessed more than I think people truly understand. But it is an honor to work on yourself and to do it in a way that you can make a positive impact on everyone. So thank you.
Thank you, Robbie. And we are so used to complain that we don't feel the blessings. We are just so busy complaining about a little thing that happened to us that we don't analyze the whole picture. Just like Dave was saying, the whole body, we understand just a little cell. We don't see the whole body. We don't see also the whole picture of our lives, the blessings, all the blessings that we have. We just focus on the problem. I agree.
Yeah, I would just first thank you. That was beautiful, inspiring. I have a couple of notes here to myself for me to keep reflecting along the week. And on top of what everybody said already, two things that also came very strong for me. One is, I mean, as you said, it is difficult for us to be humble. It's easier, right, to exalt and not find where is our mistake and where we have to change, but really allow the sun's light to come inside of our heart and be open-minded. This is really something that we should be doing more and more, because it is a hard journey. It's not easy, and we are here for that, first to learn that. But if we keep the door shut, we will never learn, right? So yes, and we will always keep suffering, which also takes to the other topic that stood out for me, which is exactly what you were saying about we just keep complaining, and then we keep waiting for the situation to be perfect for us to be either happy or for us to be either in peace of mind. And when we are really humble and we truly believe that we are in a situation that we must be, either because we are learning or because God is kind of guiding us to wherever we are. I wrote something like this peace of mind is not about being in a perfect scenario, but about to make each scenario as perfect as it can be, and then we will find the happiness, So really being able to work on our own faults is the journey. That's what I found. Thank you, sister.
Thank you, Kiki. I love that sentence. It's so true. There is no perfection. There is no perfect scenario. You're always going to have something to work, something to improve, some problems. This is life. It's how it is. You cannot wait for the perfect moment to, oh, now I'm in peace. No, you're never going to be in peace. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Debora, it was wonderful. Thank you so much for the inspiring talk. And for me, what stuck out is just the continuous reminder of humility, for us to just look to Jesus and following even his nonverbal cues. And I'm also reminded of Thought in Life by Emmanuel, when he talks about humility and he says, don't confuse, he doesn't say don't, but I'm paraphrasing in my own, I'm flatlining it, sorry. Don't confuse humility. No, humility is not subservience. So I think we lump that often together and we think, oh, when we're humble, all of a sudden we'll become the doormat. Yeah, we go down and then everyone steps on us. But it's actually freedom of attachments, freedom of the ego. And if we can hold it that way, and I think you spoke to that, Debora, it's just it's vital. And in terms of habits, of course, they're hard to break and to be filled with ourselves after millennia of practicing being egoic, right? Because the habits, they go back lifetimes even. So it was wonderful. Thank you so much, Debora. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sunshine. Yeah, I agree. It's just, we are so used to that. It's just break the habit. It's for sure takes a while, takes a lot of effort, but it's the way for sure.
I wanted to thank you all for letting me join you, and Debora, thank you for your sharing. It was awesome. And how do I say I'm proud of you? I guess maybe that's a good kind of pride, right? Like it's a good kind of competition.
Yes,
but,
yes.
Yeah, I really liked how you talked about God is there, like the sun, and it's up to us to open the window. So I like that imagery that I'm going to keep with me, and the pride. And it is really hard, and I'm learning that. And I think I've talked to you about this, but when I'm offended, like either in the car, like Tanya said, or someone says something or does something, when I'm learning that when I'm offended, that's my pride or my ego. And so it's starting to be a red flag to sit back and think rather than respond to it. And many times, not all the time, I fail every day, many times, but many times then I can let go of it. And it's no longer an offense, but just almost something, my own private joke. Like that's not even important. It used to bother me so much and it just doesn't matter. And I can let it go. But thank you so much. Lots of good thoughts.
Thank you. What reminded me is when somebody's arrogant with me, most of the time I'm not arrogant, but if somebody it is, I want to respond back being arrogant too. And it's just like, why am I need to go in that path? If I'm not like that, I don't need to respond that way. So just remind me that why to go on that way? If somebody's being proud, why do you need to go there and try to fight, right? It's just, for sure, you need to keep reminding ourselves. And what Sunshine was saying about great reminders, humility, when I start to read, it's like, oh, again, humility. It's like, again and again and again, because we still have so much to learn. It's just, we're crawling on the existence. We still have a lot to learn. So until we have to be reminded. We need to remind ourselves because it's such an important topic.
Ooh, oh, great speech, Deborah. Great input from everyone. The vibration of this speech and the sharing of everyone and what it meant to them is very strong. I'm trying to compose myself right now because I want to cry. It's so loving and warming and feels good. There are a lot of things that I took notes on, but I'm not going to cover them all. I'm going to go right to the spirit. And you had that one slide about we're like an X-ray. And the spirits see us truly as we are spiritually, not physically. And they don't try to convince us. That was one of the things about my pride and early on and, learning something new. And I'll just take spiritism as an example is I start to learn about spiritism. I start to learn about mediumship and the gift that I have, that we all have with mediumship. We're all unique in that mediumship. But I was learning something about my gift that made me feel superior one day. And I had to get slapped down because of the pride. And I'm not perfect. That I still have pride that kind of goes to the top, and then I get hit, and then I realize, I need to go through some inner transformation and do some adjustment. But what I find today is that it's easier for inner transformation, even no matter how big the obstacle and the hurdle is that I'm facing, to face myself in the mirror when I have to look at myself. Because each time we do it, it gets easier because we can take that look, keep looking at ourselves. Every time we look at ourselves, I don't know quite how to put it into words, but it gets easier. And the beginning is admitting those mistakes that you had on that slide, not feeling superior. Because as soon as you admit your mistake, you realize that you're not above everyone else. And to be like that child, living life in simplicity. I find myself not needing as much physically today, physical items, because I'm very happy with what I have. But there's still some things like Black Friday, I had to go shopping. So I wanted to go and tell people a lot about spiritism early on and the gifts that I had. And I realized that I kept getting struck down because of my pride. And then I got to a point where I would have conversations about people. And I would know that they're into the conversation of spiritism, at least the facets of spiritism, without knowing that it's spiritism, or that there was someone who was just totally a wall, and I would walk away from that. I wouldn't in the beginning, but because I had that pride, that actually is a blessing, because it took me through all these steps of inner transformation to come to the realization that I don't control other people, I control myself. And in controlling myself and working on my inner transformation and turning to what I want which is rich, not rich as in physical, material things, but rich as in moral qualities that you had on one slide. And I realized that as I go from physical wants and desires to adjusting myself, to instilling within me and living as an example these rich moral qualities, that's when I begin to realize that there are people who are open to the conversation of spiritism and open to this conversation of blessed in the poor in spirit. And you can have those conversations and you grow from them. But I always still need to be reminded every now and then, sometimes because I have pride that's starting to fester or not. We get together and we read and we listen and we talk about these topics, just this one topic. We've talked about this. We've had various speakers talk about this topic on many occasions. But every time that happens, there's always something new, something that blossoms from a flower that we thought that had already blossomed for us, so that we really understood it all. But then we begin to realize we don't. And that's okay.
Mhm.
Because as soon as we do, more opens up to us. And what has been fascinating, truly fascinating to me, is that I've been driving around in my neighborhood lately, and I'm seeing things that I didn't see before. And I've lived in the same neighborhood since 1993. And I'm just flabbergasted that happens. But it happens because I'm listening, and we're all listening to what God and the spirits are trying to teach us. And we are blessed to have the openness to see our faults and to change our faults. So thank you for reminding me of always taking a look at myself. And I hope in talking about this, I'm not showing any pride. Maybe I am right now, but I am very prideful in the fact that I've been listening and working, and I can continue need to work. And thank you. I've talked too much.
Thank you, Brian.
Is there anybody else who would like
Debora.
to go ahead?
Debora, would you give us any short points on nutrition? Everybody eats, and here you are, the perfect person. Anything. It would be great to hear what you would say.
Okay, we can do a talk just about that.
We'll make sure to include that as one of the suggested topics for you, Debora.
Okay. Will be a pleasure for sure.
All right, everybody. So are we ready for the second part? Yeah. Okay, so let's take 2 minutes break and then we'll resume. Make sure that you have your bottle of water with you for it to be magnetized. And if you want to give us any name that you want to bring for vibration, feel free to type on our chat or send for us on our WhatsApp, and the person will be included on our daily prayers. 2 minutes break. See you guys.
Hey, Kiki, can you play the meditation music?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
Of course.